Welcome everyone. Welcome to Adobe InDesign Tuesdays or InDesign on Tuesday. Today we're going to be working with a poster, but before we get too deep into that, let me go ahead and get a couple things started here. First of all, let's get a recording going. And there we go. And then we'll get started. So let's do that. With that said, welcome everyone. My name is Terry White, worldwide design and photography evangelist for Adobe, and I see a bunch of people coming into the room today for today's InDesign Hidden Treasures with lost fonts contest. It's all cool. It's all there. We're going to be doing it. So with that said, welcome. I see people all over the world. I see Victoria. I see Machin. I see Diego. I see everyone coming in from everywhere. So let me go ahead and switch over to my computer so we can get going with this. And we're live. So with that said, first and foremost, I'm on a website right now that I put in both Facebook and YouTube, the link to it. But if you're watching this somewhere else or watching the replay or you just can't click the link for whatever reason, it's Adobe Hidden Treasures.com. So that makes it kind of easy. It's not some long, complicated URL that doesn't mean anything. It's Adobe Hidden Treasures.com. And then once you get there, you're going to click on Design Challenge. So what this design challenge is it's a contest. We run design challenges on a regular basis, sometimes a weekly basis. And this one is Design, Share, and Win. So basically, you get to participate. I'm gonna run you through an example of how you can do it. Of course, you can design it any way you want, but the main thing you have to include in your design are the lost fonts, the Bauhaus Dassault fonts. So how do you get those? Well, they're right here on the page. If you click the Get the Fonts, that will take you over to the Typekit page where you can sync the 4 missing fonts that you can use in your design. You do not have to use all 4. You can use any mixture of these that you want. And we're going to walk through an example of how these can be used. And of course, since we're doing this on InDesign Tuesday, we're going to be doing it on InDesign. It's not required that you do it on InDesign. Once you create your design in Photoshop, Illustrator, or InDesign, or however you want to do it, you have a shot at winning a 13-inch MacBook Pro plus a year of Creative Cloud. That's not a bad prize for designing a poster. You just basically create your design, share your image on, share your image or your Behance project link on Twitter or Instagram with the hashtag Adobe Hidden Treasures and contest. I've been sharing mine without contest, but I'm not eligible to win anyway. But anyway, just share it with those 2 hashtags, and that way the people that are judging can pick up your entry. And if you win, congratulations on winning a 13-inch MacBook Pro, plus a year of Creative Cloud to go with it. And if you're already a Creative Cloud member, you can just add that year on to the one you already have. So once again, for those of you who just got here, you want to head over to Adobe Hidden Treasures.com. That's the website. And once you're there, you're going to click on Design Challenge, which is the tab right there in the middle. And then that will take you over to the official rules where you can get the fonts and so forth and so on. All right, so with that said, I'm going to actually use 2 programs today. I'm going to use Illustrator CC. I'm going to use InDesign CC to put it all together because this is an InDesign Tuesday. But you could just do it all in one if you want. You don't have to use both. But if you're an InDesign user, that just makes you a little cooler than the non-InDesign user. Kidding. All right, so let's go to InDesign first, where I'm going to create the basic poster or the foundation for the poster. I'm going to create a new document. I'm going to go to print because it will give me my print sizes right off the bat. I'm going to go to tabloid. I'm going to say that it's not a facing page document. And normally I would probably work with columns just to kind of keep things lined up, and the number of columns, of course, is totally up to you. I'm going to create 7. You can create 5. You can create none. You can create 6, whatever you like. And I'm going to go ahead and create that page. Okay, so that gives me my blank poster page to begin with. Now I'm also going to work with a couple of layers here. I don't want to cut that off. There we go. I'm going to work with a couple of layers. So I'm going to go to my layers panel, and I've already got the layer 1, which you get by default. I'm going to rename that background, and then I'm going to make another layer. I'm going to call that one images. And of course, we'll make another layer on top for our text. That's the main point of the contest, is that you use the Bauhaus, if I'm saying that incorrectly, I apologize, but you're using the lost hidden fonts, or the lost fonts. All right, so now that I got my 3 layers, again, it's not mandatory, it just makes it easier for me to work. I'm gonna go ahead and bring in an image that I'm going to use later. I'm gonna bring in 2 images actually, and I'm only gonna use one of them, but I'm gonna use it a little differently. I'm gonna use these 2 images that I bring in initially to build my color panel. So here in InDesign, I've got some color swatches, I've got some color themes, if I can twirl that down, and I want to create a couple new color themes. So first I'll go over to my libraries panel, which I just saw. Oh, yeah, I'm in my libraries panel, there we are. And then I'll just go ahead and pull over this first image. And this is actually an Adobe stock image that I haven't even licensed. I just needed that image for the color. So I'm just going to use the preview of it. Then I am going to bring over one of my images that I shot from Atlanta. So this is going to be the image that ultimately goes at the bottom of the poster, but we're going to do something to it first. Now, why did I bring these 2 images in? So I can steal their colors. So I'm going to do 2 color themes. I'm going to use one of my favorite tools in InDesign. I've said this time and time again. Love, love, love the color theme tool. So when I click the color theme tool with an image that's selected, it gives me the colors, some colors out of that image that work well together. I can choose what mode of those colors I want. So I want colorful, and then I can either save them to the InDesign swatches panel for this one design, or I can save them to my existing CC library, which is what I want to do. All right, so I'm going to call that new theme Summer Heat. All right, and then I'm going to go ahead and click one more time on the image below. Let's see if I can do this. Okay, great. Oh, sorry, I didn't mean to get out of that. So there's my color theme for the Atlanta image below that I shot of the skyline. And the same thing, I'm going to get the bright versions of those, and I'm going to save those to my CC library, and I'm going to just rename that one ATL. All right, now that's it. I'm done with these images. I don't need them anymore. I can delete them off the page because I just wanted to steal the colors from them. I don't really need them for anything else. All right, so we got our ATL theme, we got our summer heat theme. Now, I did say that I was going to use the Atlanta image, but before we do that, let's get a background going here. I'm just going to grab my I'm just going to grab my rectangle tool, and we'll just create a nice big rectangle for the whole page. That's going to be our background color, and I can use one of my summer heat colors that I stole from the image. I can use the lighter one, I can use the darker one. I think I'm going to use the lighter one for this poster. And then I can go ahead and lock that layer. That's it. I just needed that one layer for that one background just so I have something to work off of. I can always add more stuff to it, but now we're going to switch to the images layer. Now that we're on the images layer, I want that Atlanta skyline, but I want it in vector. I don't want it to be a photograph because I want to play with it. So I'm going to head over to Adobe Illustrator, and in Illustrator, I'm going to create another new document. It doesn't matter really what size it's going to be because I'm going to scale it to what I need on InDesign anyway, and it's vector, so it doesn't matter. But let's say I create a letter size document. It could be tabloid too, but like I said, it doesn't really matter. Oops, but I do want it tall, not wide. Hang on 1 minute, one more time. New, wasn't paying attention. That one is wide. Let's go ahead and make it tall and create it again. All right, so now I've got my tall image there. And I'm just going to go ahead and reset my panels back to the way I like them. There we go. I'm going to switch back to that same Adobe Live library where we have the new colors. That's the great thing about working with CC libraries. You get to use them in all your programs. And I'm going to go ahead and grab that Atlanta image and bring it in. Now, once I bring in that Atlanta image, I'm just going to go ahead and scale it here to put it where I want. And now that I got that image in place, and while it's selected, this is where I get to convert it to vector. So I'm just going to use the image trace that's been in Illustrator forever. And I'm going to go ahead and set that to a 16 color trace. You can have it be photorealistic. You can have it be black and white. You can have it be high fidelity photo. You can be whatever you want. But I'm going to go ahead and say, go ahead and make it 16 colors. and it will do that. And then once it makes it the 16 colors, then I'm going to go ahead and expand it. Now it's going to be kind of, great. You're going to see the banding in there, and that's fine because I don't need the sky anyway, but it's just 16 colors instead of millions of colors. So you're going to not see smooth transitions, but that's okay. I'm going to hit expand. That will show me the vectors. The expand button was right next to the trace button. And then I'm going to use my direct selection tool to get rid of the sky. So I can just come down here, just make a selection of all of those pieces of sky and select them and delete them out. Same thing here. I'm just going to make another selection going down here, select those pieces of sky and get rid of them. These are all vectors. And I should have gone down the other side of that building. But anyway, there's one more in there that I can get. I'm just basically deleting the bands of blue out of my vector that represented the original sky from the image. All right, getting rid of all of those, get rid of those, and get rid of the skinny one right down here. Just be careful, I don't want to select anything else. Ooh, I didn't go down far enough, but actually that's good enough for what I'm going to do. I would clean it up a little bit more. You can also go in, now that this is vector, you can go in and change the colors of it. You can really have some fun because you converted it to a vector. So I can go in and change that to be whatever I want it to be. All right, so now that this is vector, ooh, that doesn't look good though. We'll leave it the way it was. All right, let's go back. Thank God for multiple undos, and we'll just put that back to the way it was. And now let's go in, and the real purpose of me converting this to vectors is I want to play with the individual towers. I want to play with them using a new tool inside of Illustrator. So I'm going to select the whole thing, and I'm going to use the brand new Puppet Warp tool. Puppet Warp got added to Illustrator within the last few months. And now what this allows me to do is simply click on this graphic wherever I want. It would help if I actually click on the Puppet Warp tool. There we go. Click on this graphic where I want. So I want to pinpoint there. I want to pinpoint there. I want to pinpoint there. And I want to pinpoint there. So now I've added these points, which will allow me to kind of twist and bend my graphic. So that's what the Puppet Warp does. You might remember it from applications like Photoshop. All right, so I can go ahead and twist this and kind of bend it. And we're going to kind of create that summer heat is really melting our buildings and stretching them and doing all kinds of weird, crazy things. All right, so with that said, now that I got my crazy bending tower, and of course I could do the other one too. Maybe I want to do the other one. Let's see. Let's grab the same Puppet Warp and we can click on, add some pinpoints to this one. And I'm just randomly putting them where I think they would bend best. So I can go ahead and kind of maybe bend that one over a little bit and bend that one over a little bit more. And you got to, if you don't put a base pin down, you can also end up twisting the whole thing. So let me put my base pin down and base pinpoint over here down, and that way I can more control the other side of the building. The building's the landscape there. All right, so now we've got our cool, funky towers. And now what I'm going to do is I'm going to simply take this illustration from my original photo and add it back into the library. So we're just going to add it back in as a graphic. And boom, there it is as a graphic. Now I can quit, I can save it, I can delete it. It doesn't matter anymore because now I've got it saved inside of my CC library. So when I head back over to InDesign and I switch back to my CC libraries, there it is. So it's already there waiting to go. So now I could just simply drag it over and I can tell it where I want it to be. I want it on that edge, going all the way to this edge. And because it was vector and we deleted the background, so to speak, we got rid of that blue sky, so it becomes transparent as well. So now let me just make this frame a little bigger and fill that in a little better, so that way we don't have that funky edge on the side there. And then of course I can go back and collapse that. All right, cool. I've got my base layer down for my images. Now, here comes the real fun part. Now it's about the poster, the design. We got our graphic elements in place, but now let's go ahead and work with the type. So what I've done is I've gone ahead and synced the fonts. I've already shown you where to get them from. Just go to adobehiddentreasures.com/design contest, or design challenge, I should say. or just AdobeHiddenTreasures.com, click on Design Challenge, and then say Get the Fonts, and that will take you to the fonts. What I have done is, first and foremost, let me go ahead and grab my type tool. Now again, I'm going to go to the type layer. I've locked the other two, so now I'm just working with this one layer. And I'm going to go ahead and create a frame. This is why we use guides, so that we can get things nice and centered the way we want. And I'm going to go ahead and type in ATL for Atlanta, select all. Let's center that. And of course, we can go ahead and size that up. Now, I could sit here, type in endpoint sizes. I could choose 72 point. I can say, oh, no, it needs to be bigger. Let's go ahead and make it 200 point. Oh, no, it needs to be. I can keep playing that game, or just simply Command on Mac, PC Control, Shift, greater than, which is above the period. And then I can scale it visually until it becomes the size that I want. I don't want to make it too big just yet because I haven't changed the font. Now, the fonts that we are talking about here, the lost fonts, are, I saved them, I believe, as favorites. So if I go to my favorites, this is the Karl Marx, it's the Joshimi, if I'm saying that correctly, and it's the Exance. These are the three fonts I can play with. So I think I want this one in Karl Marx. I'm gonna go ahead and choose, yep, that's the one I want. And I can choose a regular or a bold, so you can use either one. I kind of like the regular of that. And I'm gonna use my Option or Alt key on Windows and use my left arrow key to kind of track that a little closer together. All right, now I can go bigger. Now I can make that as big as I want it to be. Maybe something, oh, maybe a little smaller, something like that. And then of course, I still have my colors to play with. So I can go ahead and choose the color from that Atlanta Heat image. If that color is not quite what I want, I can play around with the other colors that I have. Maybe a little darker. Yeah, that's it. That's the color I want. All right, so now let's go ahead and add some more text here. I'm gonna go ahead and scoot this up a bit so it's no longer in my way. And I'm gonna put 2 more text frames, actually 3 more text frames. I'm gonna put one here. That's going to be kind of my subhead there. I'm going to build one for the body copy. So I'm just going to put one here. Maybe something like that. And then I'm going to build one more. And this one is going to simply say Summer Heat 2018. Of course, we can make that bigger. And of course, we would want that in one of the lost fonts. So let's try that one. Yep, I kind of like that. That'll work. Maybe choose a different color for that one. And now we're going to go ahead and we're going to move that one down. We're going to rotate it. So I'm just going to rotate it around, just grabbing the corner of it. I'm going to put that right about here. Using my arrow keys, I can move that over. And of course, we don't need that frame to be that tall. And we can still use the same trick. So I can select all, Command Shift greater than until it's as tall as I need it to be. Something like that. Ooh, maybe a little bigger because it needs to come down a little more. All right, I'm eyeballing it, but of course you can pull down a ruler guide and make it line up perfectly. All right, good enough. All right, next thing we want is I want my, I don't want that actually to go all the way over. Let's move that frame back into right there. Smart guides helping me out. And we'll pull that up a little bit. All right, and we're gonna call this one, this one's gonna be Bringing the Heat. And again, we'll just make that bigger. If you make it too big, of course, it will give you an overset situation, but I'm going to make it bigger. And I'll just pull the frame down so we can see it. There we go, Bringing the Heat. And this time I'm going to, oh, you know what? Maybe a little smaller because what I'd rather do is track it out. So let's go ahead and go same font that we got before. And this time we're just going to use our Option or Alt key and the right arrow key to move it over. I'm not liking the font, that particular font in this case, so let's go back to Karl Marx. That looks better. And we get something like that. Okay, last but not least, we go into our frame here. I don't really have any text to put here. By the way, two things actually before we leave that. I want that to be bold. And I want that maybe, let me try in all caps on that. Yeah, I might like that better in all caps. All right, so, but really it's up to you. It's your design. All right, then last thing, of course, we're going to change the color of that last one, but let's go ahead and go to our type menu. One more time. Let's use the Karl Marx. And, oh, actually, no, let's use the Exants or Aunts. And we use the regular, maybe a 10 point. And then we'll simply say fill with placeholder type. And that will give us our lorem ipsum text in that spot in the correct font. And last but not least here, we'll change the color one more time. I'm thinking maybe the burgundy. Yeah, kind of like that. And maybe the same treatment for the body copy as well. All right, and that would be an example of how you can design your poster for the design challenge. Of course, you would design it differently than this, but giving you some tips about how to use Photoshop and Illustrator together. And I see in Facebook, someone's already posted the link once again, adobehidden-treasures.com. If you want to see what your poster looks like without all the distractions, the guides, the frame edges, and all that, then just simply get out of your type tool, hit the letter W, and that will give you your preview. Now, at this point, how would I share this to be a part of the contest? Since we did this in InDesign, I have, oh, you know what? Hold on. Sorry. Now that I'm seeing that without the frame, that needs to come down a bit more. I don't want it to overpower the ATL. There we go. And maybe, I'm nitpicking, maybe a little further away from it. Okay. But anyway, if I were going to submit this now, what I would do is simply go up to my File menu. I would choose Export. And typically, if I were doing an InDesign document, I'd do it as a PDF. But since we're posting these on Behance or Instagram, therefore it needs to be an image. And you can export a JPEG or a PNG right out of InDesign. So if I were putting it on Behance, I'd probably do the PNG. If I'm putting it on Instagram, I'd probably do the JPEG. So export as a PNG. Of course, Hidden Treasures .png, and to the desktop it goes, save it, and we just want the one page we have. It will let me choose some size and quality options, and that would give me my PNG file that I could post to Behance and share that link with the Adobe Hidden Treasures hashtag and also the contest hashtag, and that would make me eligible to be a part of the contest. So, what do you guys think? Cool? You guys going to do it? You guys going to enter to win potentially a MacBook Pro and a year of Creative Cloud? All right. Well, awesome. So with that said, that's it. Just showing you a little bit of InDesign, playing around with Illustrator and the Puppet Warp, doing some cool things here and there. And with that said, I am now going to say goodbye. Bye, everybody. Hope you learned something. We'll catch you on the next one. Cheers.